Now we get out of the blocks with track and field on this Tuesday edition of the SportsMax Zone. Curve the trials behind us now, and the focus is on the Isla Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championship in Jamaica. But before that, there's the Corporate Area High School Championship, which will take place this Friday and Saturday at the home of Jamaica College, the Ashenheim Stadium. The Corporate Area region is the powerhouse of male high school athletics in Jamaica, with defending champions Kingston College again set to battle arch rivals Jamaica College and Calabar High, while the defending girls champions Excelsior are expected to face stern competition from Wolmer's Girls and Immaculate Conception. In fact, Immaculate are favoured to land their first title, having finished third last year. We are joined by their sprints coach Floyd Quarry and meet organiser Ricardo Martin. Floyd, can I ask you first about what I just said? Immaculate being favourites to take the title?
I think it's something that we've been working at for a couple of years. So, you know, it's good to be in that position now. It's just a matter of, you know, not taking it for granted.
Yeah.
But we're in good standings.
Okay.
Like
and
it.
Excelsior and Wolmer's, based on their track record in recent years, would be solid challengers?
Definitely. Solid challengers. And we also have, you know, a keen eye on Alpha as well.
Alpha?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, which isn't too far from our studios here at the moment.
Right.
Okay. Ricky, let me get to you quickly. But before we talk about the challenges financially of staging meets like this, because that has been in the news, I want to ask you briefly about the change or the rebranding of the meet from the corporate area development meet to now the corporate area high school athletic championships.
For years, it has been called the Corporate Champs, but we were named the Corporate Area Development Meet. We have engaged partners in Pixel Magic and Everything Creative, and when we met with them, with our team, they said it made sense on a marketing standpoint that we rebranded the event, being that that's what it was called. So our team and we met our late chairman, Mrs. Valentina Robertson. She would have penned the letter and expected to send it to the authorities, but she got ill. But then it sounds better, it sounds good, and it becomes a more marketable event, calling it that way, as though it is affectionately known. So selling it to Corporate Jamaica, Corporate Area High School Championship, works better than Corporate Area Development Meet.
Yeah.
In series.
All right. Quickly, before we talk about the meet itself and the sort of excitement we expect to be generated, it has been in the news in recent months about how difficult financially it has become to stage these meets. And I've even heard reports suggesting that some of these meets may be in trouble going forward based on the difficulty in financing the meets. Can you, elaborate on that a bit?
Yes. For years, every year, we tend to have challenges.
But I get the impression it's getting more difficult.
It's getting more difficult. And the reality is, it's just a handful of companies, for example, like a Grace Kennedy. So they are sponsoring most of the development meets, and then they are doing all the regional meets. And they are the one, we spend most of the money, so we have to say thank God for them. And we want to thank ISA. ISA has stepped up in a big way for the regional meets to make this happen, which is the dress rehearsal for the big show. So, Central would have the big show on the girls' side. We tend to have the big show on the boys' side. Yes. And what corporate area has done, especially on the girls' side, it have the athletes competing against each other, getting brave to tackle the girls in Central. And if you notice, Lance, in the past couple of years, there's a corporate area school in the top 5.
That's right.
And like 3 corporate area schools in the top 10. And the corporate area schools are stepping up, and we expect something good, big in the near future, like a top 3.
All right, Floyd, Immaculate has been known for decades to produce, in a singular way, some outstanding athletes who have gone on to represent Jamaica and so on. But as a team, they have not traditionally been a powerhouse to challenge for titles. What has triggered this change in your status?
Well, I think I'll credit most of this effort to the head coach, Franz Ford. He's the one that brought me on first with the hopes of bringing Immaculate to be a powerhouse and not just known for, as you mentioned, a one-off athlete here and there. So, we've been very strategic in how we put together the teams and how we try to attract athletes to Immaculate. And then from there, we try to, continue to build and grow. So, we know championships is a numbers game. It's hard to hold on to numbers at Immaculate because, girls leave early or, the matriculation through the classes aren't really that great. But we've managed for the recent years to kind of hold it together. And, we have a good crop of girls and we're happy to see that we're now here where we can challenge for a title.
All right, Immaculate had finished, I think, about 62 points behind Excelsior, the winners last year.
Mm-hmm.
How do you perceive eating into that gap?
Well, we just filled the voids that we had last year. So
yes.
Last year we didn't have much of a class one. We do have that now. So there is not one event that we won't be competing in at the Corporate Area Championship. So we're in every event, and the aim is to final and do well in all of those. So I think that alone puts us, because we already have the quality, but that now puts us, give us another push forward.
Yeah, and as a meet organizer, Ricky, how satisfying is it for you to see on the girls' side of things teams, beginning to lift their standards to, probably make a bigger mark at the high school girls and boys championships at the end of March?
Lance, there was a void. So when there was Central, Eastern, Western, there was a void for the corporate area schools. Going into the different development meets, and I have a daughter that used to run. When you go to the different development meets where everybody competes, the corporate area girls, when they come to the front, and they saw Sharika Jackson and they saw Christiana Williams and they saw all the big names from Edwin Allen, Bear, Heidel, Homewood, they actually stay to the back of the car room. So then if you have 17 heats of 100 meters, the last 4 heats will consist of corporate area schools. But then when they run against each other, it is to say, I am better than you. So it is a matter of challenging themselves. Now, it gives them a vibe and a feel and a know-how to, yes, I am a champion in my zone, just like what happened outside of Jamaica. So it gives them something to compete. And but it's a boys and girls championship when you hear the Western champion versus the corporate champion versus the Central champion versus the Eastern champion. It gives you goosebumps and it gives some form of belonging that, yeah, I belong here and I deserve to be here. Yeah. And thank God for ISA, the new format where automatic qualifying spaces come from the regional events.
Yeah, I'm going to get some intriguing information from you in just a moment about some awards honoring some huge media stars. But let me get from Floyd quickly a response to what Ricky just mentioned about, in the call room at high school boys and girls champs, there was a sort of a back row feeling for corporate area teams, and maybe that's not so much now.
Yeah, definitely. In the past, I guess you could say that sort of respect wasn't there on the athletic side for the corporate schools, but especially on the girls' side. But I believe now, with this sort of, with the corporate area championships and, the fact that we get to stand out, we've been all corporate schools have been present in all the major finals on the girls' side, the boys and girls champs, and, it's credited a lot to having the corporate area championships where they get to, flex and exercise that level of competition before they, get into the real meat of the matter, the boys and girls champs.
Yeah, well, Excelsior and Wilmers were 1-2 last year, weren't they? And you were behind them.
Yeah.
A lot is being, the champions wearing the crown are the targets.
Right.
But you don't want to underestimate Wilmers and, they're in a Trees Easts and so on and what they have to offer.
And outside of just the athletes, I do respect the coaches as well. Sir Carr from Wilmers and Sir Riley from Excelsior. They've been there, they've been doing it. So, it's a wonderful competitive atmosphere amongst them, and we laugh about it, but it's something that we kind of puts us on the next level.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to go against them in any way. I love competition, and that's what we're here for. It's friendly. It's better for the sport.
Yeah. Ricky, just over a year ago, we lost Hubert Lawrence, an iconic sports track and field broadcaster and journalist. And I see at the meet coming up this weekend, you have a segment to honor Hubert Lawrence, as well as Ricardo Chambers, the star boy from SportsMax.
Yes, and he's from a corporate area school. He's from Calabar.
Oh, he's
an honorary for this year.
Yes.
And this is the plaque. We have to release it. He's shying away. But Hubert Lawrence, when we were about to start this corporate area meet, he was one of our main advisors.
Advisors?
Yes. He was a strong advocate for this event. And if you remember, Lance, corporate area meet was the last meet he did.
Before he passed?
Before he passed. He did corporate area meet last year, Friday, Saturday, and he passed the following Friday.
Friday, yes.
We sat together. He lived in Portmore, so we sat together right through. And I took his advice, everything. So it is fitting of us to let his name live on. And he used to tell me about a meet he used to have called Hurdles Fest.
Yes.
And he used to encourage me that one day the meet will start. Get
I remember that it was a hurdles and field events.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he used to say it's to be just
John Messon had put that meet on. Yeah.
Right. And I remember he was saying the meet was coming up. He didn't have enough money and he was about to get married. And he spoke to his late wife then and asked her if we could use some of the money to put on the meet, and he did that. So he was telling me that
the wife gave him the go-ahead.
Yes.
Oh, God bless her soul.
Right.
She died in 2010, I think.
Right.
Or 2011. Yeah.
Right. So we plan to honor him and keep his name alive. So we start Friday morning, 8:30, with the hurdles. So we introduce class 4 boys, 80 meters hurdles. But that section, we'll call it the Hubert Lawrence.
Can you hold that trophy up just a bit so the camera can? Yeah. Continue.
So it's the Hubert Lawrence Hurdles Fest.
Yes.
Right?
So this is the Friday morning segment.
Friday morning and Saturday morning. Yeah. On Saturday morning, we'll ask the patrons, the start of the event, for a moment of silence and applaud Hubert for what he has done. I think we need to honor him because he was present at all the corporate area meet, and he was something that he missed dearly.
Yeah. Apart from his monumental contribution to Jamaica's track and field, not only as a journalist and as a broadcaster, but as you just mentioned, as someone who was actively involved in promoting and staging events. And as you said, also an advisor. I did like 4 Olympic Games with him as a co-commentator. And I have always said that Hubert is probably the best in the world at what he did.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying that because I knew him, but it was very evident to me that this wasn't a normal individual. Because whenever we covered Olympics and so on, and people would get wind of his quality and his colossal knowledge of not just Jamaican and Caribbean track and field, but global track and field, he would immediately be sought after by BBC reporters and ESPN reporters to do interviews with him because his mind was so far above average. So it is great that you're honoring him in the corporate area championship, as we have seen other meets do in the past year since his passing a year and a couple of weeks ago. Great that Hubert is being honored.
So the winners will actually get this trophy.
Yes.
Second and
of
third
the hurdles events.
Will get medals. But his name must live on.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And Ricardo Chambers is a talent of no mean order as well. We work with him daily, so we know about his quality. And you also have a segment honoring his work as well.
He's been a supporter for us since we were doing prep school meet. when he was a youngster way back in 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
And he has been behind us, advised, and he's a great lad. Right now, as you know, Lance, he's what they call top shelf in announcing commentary and his knowledge
Yes.
of the sport.
Yes.
And we saw it fit to honor Ricardo, to say thank you for what you're doing and what you're doing for us, and keep doing what you do best.
Yeah, well, Hubert is no longer with us, so he can't be there physically to embrace the honor that you're bestowing on him. But Ricardo, I'm pretty certain, will be there
Yes.
at some point on the weekend. And will he be doing any work with you as a commentator as well?
He'll definitely give us
That's great.
full coverage.
Will his work as a commentator assist Calabar in any way in winning the championship?
No, but well, the reality is Calabar has looked very good this year.
I see
you
that.
notice the development meets at Jamaica College. I want to tell you, Lance, that this year will be the most competitive.
Oh, it will be.
Corporate there, yes.
So KC are not a shoe-in for the title?
As I said, it's just an open,
Yes.
competitive
I
championship.
know some of these teams don't put all their cards out on the table, and it's really the high school boys and girls championship that will be the main event for all of them. But would you say KC are a better bet for boys and girls champs than they are for corporate area?
All right, as you know, I'm a KC old boy, so KC
yes.
Needs to win for the 100th anniversary.
Yes.
JC.
Yeah, I'm
Coach
kind of tired of
Johnson.
hearing that. But go
KC,
ahead, yes.
JC is doing very well. Calabar is doing well. But there are a lot of schools. St. George's College is doing very well.
Yes.
And Excelsior. So we can't write off these teams, Lance. But it should be a very competitive championship. And if permits, I can speak about the meet.
Yes.
The boys will compete for the Dave Murray Trophy. The girls will compete for the Dr. Carl Long Trophy. Day one, we start at 8:30 a.m. and we should end with the exciting 100-meter finals at about 6:30, 6:45 thereabout.
On Saturday evening?
No.
On the same Friday?
evening.
On the same
Yes,
Friday, yeah.
yes. That's what the excitement.
Yes.
We are bringing excitement
From day
for the
one.
100 meters.
Yes.
We did introduce the athletes, like World Championship. They come out of the call room
Yes.
one by one with their names, their schools, and the time qualified for the finals.
Yes.
So we did that for all 8 finals. And so it's going to be good. We'll be having live streaming from Miller Vision TV, and World Class Athletics is giving the per second results. Bruce James.
Yes.
Yes. This meet is also, we make sure we did our homework, so it's also sanctioned by World Athletics, J Trace, and ISA. And I want to say, I have to please to say thanks to the sponsors.
Go ahead, yeah.
So it's ISA, Grace Kennedy, Milo, Codex, Splurt, Rehydration Fuel, Jambisco with their brands, Bermudez and Excelsior, SDF, 876 Water, JTA Co-op Credit Union, BCIC, KFC will be providing lunches, Atlas Security. Bruce James gave us good discount with World Class Athletics, Medic One, TRK Party Rental, UE Sports Department, and Mighty Malt. We couldn't do this without Pixie Magic and Everything Creative, which is Tenille Cork Higgins and Monique McLeod. They are the one who rebranded this event. They are the one who are pushing forward to make this happen. As you know, Lance, it's hard to raise money to put on an event like this. Everything costs money, and the reality is we just had to, I'm busy with my job, so we had to bring in people who love the sports. And without people who love the sports, because like yourself and Coach Quarry and many people, we are the one who love the sports to keep it alive. Yes. And I realized this year the stands are empty. The spectators are not coming out. But we have to provide an avenue for these athletes. So as you may know, I do a primary school meet, I do a prep school meet, and I'm doing the high school meet. So I'm transitioning the athletes. As you know, Jaden Hubert, who came through the prep system, came through corporate champ system, and he's at the Olympic and the World Champion stage. World Championship stage. So I'm appealing to corporate Jamaica. The sports need help.
Yeah. You know, Jamaica is looked at not only regionally but globally as a factory for producing outstanding world-class athletes. And it is a little troubling for us here to hear these stories about trouble with meet organizers putting on these development meets, which are really the foundation to get athletes up to the world-class level. So I think, Ricky, we have to, at some point in the near future, have a discussion on our show to get to the bottom of this issue and see if we can ruffle some feathers and ensure that, you know, these meets are secured as meets that will develop and prepare our teenagers for world-class standards.
The reality, Lance, Jamaica's reached a stage where we are almost on par with the rest of the world, right? Probably not a world-class facility, but we have, for example, Bruce James, I know J-Trace, you know, have their system with the big screen clock and what Bruce is doing with the per second billing. So we are now used to the last athlete that crosses the finish line, the last throw, the last everything, you get the results same time, and the ranking system, and we just have to have good quality commentary.
We've got to leave it there though. But I do understand that, you know, for Jamaica to maintain its position as a world power, these are the kinds of things that facilitate, you know, the development and the growth of the sport in the country. And as you just mentioned, with commentators like Ricardo Chambers and the high quality that
Dean Smith, Donald
Smith, and the late Hubert Lawrence, who you're honouring on the weekend as well, it's a part of why Jamaica is so strong in the sport. But as I said, we've got to have a discussion in the near future about the fact that these meets are now being threatened by a lack of resources to continue staging them. So, Ricky, thanks for being on the show with us. Floyd, all the best for your immaculate push for the title, and may the best team win, both on the boys and the girls side, for the corporate area high school championship coming up at the Ashenheim Stadium this Friday and Saturday. And we'll be keeping you up to date with what's happening there. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.